Okay, welcome to the Techy Thursday. These are the admin technical updates for June 2025. This will be the last one, obviously, that we're going to do, because obviously the July ones would normally have been in August, but obviously everyone's on holiday in August. So I've set the next date for when we get back in September, but not the first week back, because obviously the first week back in the new school year is very busy. So let me just run through what we've got for this session. So this one is a marketplace app called Jira. It's basically a workflow thing, and they used to have it integrated with Drive and things like that. Now it's also integrated with Gmail. So it's like if you're tracking a workflow across a team or something like that, and then you can use that. Obviously, you as an administrator need to allow that to be installed, or you need to install it for your end users so that you have access to it if you want to use it. Again, because it's marketplace app, you need to do your due diligence as to whether you do or do not want that. This next one is if you're using client-side encryption when it comes to sort of like your email and also sort of like Google Docs and things like that, then this will now, it's just a further functionality which allows comments and action items so that you can see them within those encrypted documents, so that you still keep control of the encryption, but people have more sort of functionality. I don't know whether anyone's using client-side encryption, but it's something that we have covered in a few Techy Thursdays in the past of how you can actually add it in to control your encryption keys. This is only if you're using Cisco WebEx, and obviously you need to have the WebEx suite if you're using that. And also, again, it's the Google Meet. So if you're using that, it now allows you to more functionality, so that if you've got WebEx and Google Meet, you can now present it using a hardwired HDMI connection to, say, a TV screen or something like that within a setting. And again, I put at the bottom here exactly how you would add those in. So in the admin console at the OU level, so you wouldn't set it up at the top level of the domain unless you wanted to. Your devices, Google Meet hardware settings, device settings, built-in interoperability. This one is a very important one, I think, when it comes to Gemini. Now that Gemini is available across Google Workspace for Education, this now allows you to control the data regions for where data is stored, for example. So you can control your data region. You used to be able in the past to be able to previously control where your Drive docs and all of that stuff was stored. Whether you want that to be in the EU, whether you want it to be in the USA, whether you didn't really care, and you can have it in both jurisdictions. But now if you want to sort of like specify data regions for Gemini features in Workspace, you can. This is another one, which is basically policy compliance logs. So within the audit features, you can see now exactly within the security investigation tools, just an additional functionality they've added into that great security investigation tool is that you can now look at the data regions and see where the data has been set. And you can see, it shows in the little graph there, the assigned region. So that document is stored in that data region. New analytics and insights for educators in Google Classroom. I'm sure Paul's probably covered that on his slide deck. So I haven't added in the sort of end user end of it. But if you're a super admin, you have access, obviously, to education leaders will have access to those analytical data. And you can also assign temporary class access to view the analytics within a Google Classroom page. And as you can see in the graph there, you can see quite a lot of analytics. You know, who's opened an assignment, how many times has a student sort of interacted with the classroom within a certain period of time. So it's very, very useful. And obviously, if we ever, God forbid, ever get into a lockdown situation again, and you know, people are, you know, doing classrooms remotely, a school leader or a college leader would be able to go in to, if you as an admin give them access, would be able to go in to see who's interacting with those classrooms and what they're actually doing, whether they're actually open the assignments that have been set, things like that. So very useful. Is that a question? No. Okay.
Yeah, can the analytics, James, be exported for further work?
Yes, they can.
Thanks.
This is again an addition. We spoke about this last month, I think. That Google have moved over to their new data migration center, and this is allowing you now to migrate email and calendar content from Microsoft Exchange Online to Google Workspace directly within the admin console. So it will bring over even new emails from the source without duplicating previously migrated content. So they're just improving their data migration service every single time they put a new update in, which is good. It'll put a lot of data migration companies out of business probably when they eventually get to it, but that's what they're doing. And the data migration logs, if you are doing data migrations, again, those are now available in your log events. So you can see if you've got multiple admins, for example, and someone's data has been migrated from here to there, and you want to see who did it, when it was done, and what data was actually migrated, you can now search across your domain to find out exactly who did what within the domain. So again, it's more just eyes on. And again, it's part of the security investigation tool. So this is new admin settings specifically for form responses. So as it says there, admins can now independently control two distinct settings. So whether users in their domain can respond to forms created externally, so not from within your school or college domain, whether users in their domain can share forms with external recipients. So if you want, if you don't want, for example, if you want to share a form out to your students, but you don't want that form being shared externally outside of your domain, then you have control settings now, as you can see on the admin section here that I've put. This one is quite an important one that you need to be made aware of. I didn't have space to put all of the information about exactly what this is going to entail, but this is coming in September this year. So depending on how you've got your group set up, when Chris shares out the slide deck, I strongly suggest that you click on the hyperlink at the top of the slide to look at how it may affect you. So this is basically they're saying this is to reduce complexity, but the two things that will no longer be supported in groups are those two bullet points: custom rules for who can manage members and who can view members, and the ability to allow the entire organization to manage members. So they're just scaling it back, but there's an awful lot more information within that hyperlink that I strongly suggest, if you have a lot of groups, and I'm sure the majority of you have, that you actually go and read the fine print details of how it may or may not affect your current group setup. This one again is to do with groups, and this is now the ability to lock a Google group. So effectively, you as an admin can lock a Google group, and it will heavily stop changes being made to the group attributes that you've put into that group as an admin. So it's things like, not allowing people to add memberships, not allowing people to change the group name, things like that. So you can, if you've got a very particularly sensitive Google group, say SLT Act, you may want to put the attributes in that you want to do as an administrator, and then lock it so that nobody else can make any changes to it. This one is if you're doing client-side encryption again in Gmail. This is a thing where you can have your users use hardware key certificates, so smart cards effectively, with digital signature and thing within the Gmail settings. So they don't need to come to you to use their client-side encryption within Gmail. They can manage it within their own. As you can see there, that's someone's inbox accounts, encryption certificates. So people can create their own digital signature certificates without having to come to admin to do it. And this is the last one. I've thrown this one in there just to let you know. FINRA compliance solutions for Drive and Calendar doesn't really affect education in any way, shape, or form. It's just another compliance thing that I wanted to bring to your attention. FINRA, if you don't know what it is the financial industry regulatory authority in the United States that reports to the Security and Exchanges Commission. And it's basically if you're dealing with investors and things like that, which most schools aren't, it's now compliant in Google Drive. And those are the updates for June. I've put the next update, like I said at the beginning, it's Thursday, the 11th of September. So that's the second week in September, just so that everyone can get back in to school at the beginning of September and not have to worry about attending an update. And I will make sure that I run through in that update on the 11th of September, any updates that come in for both July and August. So let me just stop sharing. Any questions anyone's got? Yes, Nick?
James. Yeah, on the only thing that you've said that's concerning me at all is the stuff around the groups. We've got thousands of groups. Some are automated by Salamander, and a lot of them we've kind of created historically. But we, over the years, had various problems with students doing things wrong with groups, and so we've put certain controls in place. The two things you mentioned, the sort of the who can permissions and the group locking. Are you aware whether there's a default state now that those controls are available? Will they default to the most secure or default to the least secure option?
The only thing I can tell you, Nick, is I looked at it yesterday, and it is that's the lengthiest update from last month. And like I say, I could have filled about probably 5 slides with information as to, but the best thing you can do, like I said, is to click on the hyperlink when Chris sends out this slide deck
Okay.
and read through it carefully. I didn't take it all in because I was, busy trying to get the whole thing together. But certainly read it very carefully, because it does give you good guidance as an admin as to what steps you may need to take.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, James, that was a good question by Nick. In the documentation, if it doesn't say precisely whether it defaults to the most secure or the least secure option, is that something that we could ask Ollie Trussell just for a clarification?
To be fair, the notes and the hyperlink that will be sent out is very, very detailed.
And detailed enough to answer that question, though.
Yeah, I think they're. I think Google are aware that the changes that they're going to make to groups may affect people, which is why it's the largest sort of like written explanation of how it's going to affect people that I've seen in any update.
Yeah.
Which is why it was too much to put on a slide.
Okay. But good question, Nick, because unintended consequences of all these things, suddenly you have 1,000 people ringing you up saying, hey, what's going on here? It's only for your safety and security that they've done these things, but good point.
Any other questions or? Okay, I'll stop the recording then.